Good morning, friends, and welcome back. Let me show you how I took this coffee can from this to this. And I am really excited with the way this came out, but also I'm going to be talking to you about some simple ways to bring your decoupage up to the next level. I first removed the label from here, and you see there's some adhesive left on it. So I took this WD-40 and sprayed it on here, wiped as much of the adhesive off because this WD-40 ate right through it, even better than 91% alcohol and even better than nail polish remover. So first I used this. Then I used the 91% alcohol to wipe as much of the WD-40 away, and then I just decided to go ahead with my favorite dishwashing liquid and wash the whole thing. And you'll see some of the tripod in a few of the shots. I'm sorry about that. I got a new camera and tripod for Christmas and I'm working out the kinks. This is the Americana Decor Metal Primer. Now you want to use this for a couple of reasons. It is much different than any other paint you'll use. You need to dry it for 12 hours. So I put it out overnight after I painted it. And one of the main reasons that I used it is because I am going to be using this up in the bathroom. It is the perfect size for even a large roll of toilet paper. You can hide it inside of here. It looks lovely. And if you have company, they don't have to say, "Where's your spare toilet paper?" And they also don't have to look around your bathroom to find it. They will probably see this right away and say, "Wow, what's in here?" And they'll say, "This is just what I'm looking for." But you can use it for several different reasons. So this is going to waterproof it, rust proof it. I'm working on the whole outside and the bottom of this. I put it aside to dry overnight. And now I want to show you what I'm doing while this is drying. These molds require cornstarch or baby powder as a release agent. This is a dollar store brush that I got, makeup brush. I took the clay. Let me mention something very important right here. There are several different air dry clays out there. You want to be really careful which one you use because I experimented with 7 different ones. I'll pull this back into focus in a minute, but I will have a link down below this video for the best, absolute best clay to use for this purpose. Now what I did was I rolled the clay up as you saw, I put it in the mold, and I'm just wiping away the excess, very easy, and now I'm going to just simply turn this over, flip it over, and this will fall right out. I made 3 of these for the purpose of this video, and you'll see why. This is the main mold that I used. I'm going to follow those same instructions, fill it with cornstarch or baby powder as a release. I put the clay inside of here, then I just pressed it, I worked it out to make sure that all of the clay was down into those crevices. I also put a little wax paper over it, took my mini roller and went over the whole surface on the back just to flatten it out a little bit more. And again, the links for these molds will be down below and links to as many of the products so you can purchase them directly through here. Now, when I was done with this, you don't have to worry about the back too much. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you loosen it up a little bit. You go around the edges like this, and then again, you flip it over. As long as you have enough cornstarch or baby powder in there, this comes out quite easily. I learned the hard way. You really want to put enough cornstarch or baby powder in there to make this come out much easier. Because my can is dry, I wanted to make sure that this dried in the exact shape that I needed it. So I molded it over the can and let it dry. Now this did need to dry overnight. And once everything dried, and by the way, I told you I made 3 of these braids, what I did was I took them off. You can see they dried perfectly in the shape that I needed them to. I then decided to paint the coffee can, and I went with some chalk paint. And this is the color called Whisper by Americana Decor. It's the chalky finish. and I just rolled it over the whole surface, and I made sure to get into those ribs that are in the can. By the way, just like you did with the primer, you want to make sure you get the bottom also, because the bathroom can get a little bit humid. At least for the purposes I'm using it for, I wanted to make sure I really got the bottom piece taken care of too. You may notice I'm jumping back and forth a little bit between painting and the can and the clay. I'm showing you the order in which I did this project. So what I did was I took some of the Americana metallic paint in the color chocolate. I think Americana has really mastered the art of making metallic paint. This looked so much like metal when I was done. I was really impressed. I painted the whole surface, making sure to get those outside edges too. And when it dried, I then went back in with the Deco Art Metallics in the pearl. And I'm going to slow this down for a second. Sorry about that tripod in the shot again. I took a sponge, and where I'm slowing this down is right here. I am offloading the sponge. It's out of shot. I'm so sorry. That just means that I took a lot of paint off because I just want a dusting of this paint over the dried metallic paint so that it just gives it a little bit of an aged look. While all of that was drying, I took a very fine paintbrush and I went around the creases of the napkin. This will make it so much easier to decoupage. And I just separated the napkin into quarters. You can also use an aqua brush for this. I will have a link down below for that also. That's the aqua brush, which is already loaded with water. And you want to make sure you don't have any sharp edges anywhere. You just want to pull all of these away. And when you're done, just make sure your fingertips are a little tacky and separate the napkin at the corners like that. I'm now taking the Americana napkin decoupage glue, which you can see I spilled all over the place. And I'm going to work in sections at a time. First, I'm going to clean up that area where I spilled the decoupage glue. And now I am taking the napkin and placing it over my surface. But I'm also taking a plastic, this is one of those notebook pages that you can use, and I'm pressing the napkin into the ribs. I'm pressing it down on the surface. I'm going to do this around the whole can. It won't stick to your decoupage and it will help the decoupage glue come through. I also found that a wet paper towel helps to move the paper towel all over the napkin. You can remove wrinkles and air bubbles this way and get a nice clean finish. You also want to make sure you're getting the napkin into those ribs. Now when I pulled the plastic away, you can see up top there, I pulled some of the napkin away. That was my fault because I was rushing, but I am going to cover that up later anyway, so we're okay with that. And once this dried, I added another coat of decoupage glue to it, and I finished the rest of the can. There's one section where the napkins didn't quite match up in the back, so I just took separate pieces of one of the quarters that I had left, and I took out little pieces like the butterfly and some script, and I decoupaged those onto the can right here so that now the whole can is covered with the decoupage napkins. Now for the lid, I took a large piece of clay and I rolled it out, and I wanted to make sure it fit over the surface, this top piece. And I just placed this inside. This is the lid that came with the coffee. I pulled the excess clay up and used the edge of this top to just cut away the excess clay. And I then took some water, put it on my fingers, and went around the outside to smooth out those edges. And by the way, using one of the same molds where I had that braid from before, I placed some clay in there and I made about 4 or 5 of these to go around the top. Just took it right out, and what I did then was made sure that in order for them to fit around this lid, I took a lid from a jar and I made sure to round it while it was still dry. I wanted them all to have the exact same curve, and I allowed those to dry. And once they were dry, I noticed that the lid had a little bit of a chip in the side, so I cheated a little bit. I'm going to decoupage directly on the clay, and I left a little excess piece of the napkin to go over the edge there. I then took that same chocolate metallic paint and put it around the outside of the napkin with a sponge brush. And when that coat dried, I added a little bit more of the pearl finish over that, just a very light coating. And once I was done with the decoupage, I allowed it to dry. And now that the can is dry, I'm going to take a very coarse nail file and I'm going to file all of the excess away that's on the top and the bottom. You want to make sure you just go in one direction towards the center. You don't want to go back and forth. You want to just file in one direction and remove any excess also that you have at the bottom. Now that everything has dried, the clay, the decoupage, everything, I'm going to use my favorite adhesive that is going to hold this on here for life, and I'm going to add the rest of my pieces, and these braids are going around the top. One thing I noticed is that they didn't fit exactly, so what I had to do was break one in half. Actually, I broke it in 3 pieces. And I made sure that it fit. I left the ends intact, but those center pieces I was able to file down really easily with this nail file and get it to fit. Using that same adhesive, I added this center piece right onto it. Here's how the rest of the can is looking, which I think is beautiful. And I hung it up sideways to dry. This glue doesn't dry immediately. Here is how everything looks once I attached everything permanently with the glue. I added a little crystal right here just for effect. Here's how the rest of the can looks. I am really happy with the way this turned out. I will be proud to sit this up in the bathroom where we can keep that extra roll without it just kind of looking obnoxious and sitting out there, or without people having to go searching for it. And the lid fits right on here. It still attaches, so everything can stay nice and dry. And this is our project for the week, guys. I know you hear this all the live long day on YouTube, but thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate that. As you may have noticed, I have not been able to get back to anyone for 2 weeks. We are looking to move, and boy, is this a lot of work. We're actually looking at homes where I can have my very own, very sunny room just to make these videos for you guys. So I'm really excited about that. Ow, my dog just kicked me. And I'm going to put as many links as I can below. Don't forget, if you need any of the supplies, go right on down below. It'll take you over to Amazon through my links. And when you purchase through me, no matter what you're purchasing, whether it's one of my links or through my links, let's say you look for books or school supplies or you need something for your home, I still get a little bit of credit for that. So thank you so much. I really love that you guys are helping me out this way. I do read all of your comments, and some of you I see posting every single week. I adore you guys. I love that I see some familiar faces and I'm like, oh, there's Crafting Lady, Mary Guy, Dawn, Miss Kitty. Thank you guys so much for always supporting me, and all of you that comment. Upcycle with Decoupage is also on Facebook. You can go over and like and follow the page. However, I cannot chat and spend a lot of time over there, so if you'd like a little more conversation about decoupage, there's a lovely Facebook page called Decoupage Designs USA. They sell napkins and rice paper, and there are a lot of people on the page. It's very interactive. I have been quite overwhelmed with the prospect of moving and the research that goes with it. The YouTube channel, my videos. Here's a lovely little guy that showed up in my backyard. How beautiful is he? But once again, guys, thank you so much. I will see you next week with another video. Hope you're all having a wonderful, happy, healthy, lovely new year. Bye-bye.